incredible move to the upside, over a $70 move for gold here over the last 48 hours, breaking above 1,400 US dollars per ounce. Now, what I find very interesting about this move is exactly what we mentioned on the midweek report, that we had identified that hedge funds and money managers, they had built their overall net long position, whereas retail traders, over 70% of them were selling short. So with that, it just shows really the impact of research-driven trading and having awareness of this data. So our in-house intelligence has really given us the edge here to capitalize on the breakouts. Not only have we seen in gold, but also on platinum and silver as well. In fact, we hit our profit target on platinum yesterday for 300 points. But what do you need to know for the week ahead? So we've broken 1,400 US dollars per ounce. Gold is trading around $1,395 at the moment. What do you need to know? Well, today it's interesting. We've seen overall retail traders start to accumulate some long positions here. So we've seen a 6% increase in net longs, but you want to be careful because there is the potential for FOMO here, which is of course the fear of missing out, and traders to start buying right at the highs, which is often what the retail traders tend to do. They get in at the wrong time of the move. And then the potential for some profit taking here as we get closer to the weekend. And typically at the moment, we're tending to see the weaker moves here for gold at the beginning of the week and then start that cycle higher as we get towards the end of the week. That's typically the cycle we're seeing. We also want to pay attention to the overall positions later on in the day from hedge funds and money managers, whether they've increased or whether they've taken some profit after we've seen this breakout to 5-year highs. But it's very important to be aware that essentially retail traders have been liquidated. So this position and breakout to the upside where gold has essentially moved $70 over a 700-point move since Wednesday's FOMC statement, which we identified with you on Tuesday's report as a major catalyst for some really great trade opportunities. Net overall, we saw net longs, hedge funds and money managers, they increased the largest in over a year. And retail traders were looking at it purely from a technical point of view, looking to try and capitalize on selling the highs. And a lot of those retail traders have been liquidated, and as such, we've seen that big breakout breaching above $1,400. As we go into next week, you want to pay attention to 2 points. One is that you've got the G20 meetings next week, and we've seen some positive optimism regarding US and China potentially having some degree of negotiations as we go into next week. So we want to watch out to see how things start to evolve. Donald Trump has been tweeting this week with positive sentiment regarding the potential for those talks to go well as we go into next week. That's provided further optimism for oil, and we've also seen that have an impact on overall metals and the S&P 500. Interestingly, we covered oil in detail also on oil asset of the day earlier on this week, and oil has also seen a big breakout to the upside. We've got a net long position right now on oil, which is up over 300 points. We discussed last week. Really want to look at that 50 to 52 US dollar per barrel level on WTI crude oil and 60 to 62 US dollars per barrel also on Brent crude oil. We've since seen over a 4% move to the upside here as we've seen geopolitical risk increase. We've also seen an escalation in that geopolitical risk between Iran and the US as we saw a military drone shot down yesterday, and we immediately saw that have a big impact on oil prices with Brent crude oil breaking above $65 per barrel. So as you go into next week, you must look out for that breaking news relative to that. We saw a tweet from Donald Trump yesterday regarding this and essentially warning Iran about what had been done here with shooting down that drone, and we immediately saw another big breakout to the upside with crude oil breaking back out to $65 per barrel for Brent crude oil. So as you go into next week, 3 things you really want to have on the radar. One is the G20 meeting. That will be really important. You also want to pay very close attention to the current trade war between the US and China. So we want to watch out to see what sort of narratives and rhetoric come about from that next week. We'll be watching the G20 very closely. You also want to watch out for what hedge funds and money managers are doing as we go into next week versus the retail traders. We'll actually be putting out a fresh report, the Gold and Silver Club, over the weekend as well regarding this as we go into next week. And finally, you also want to be watching out for, of course, the geopolitical tensions right now between the US and China. And of course, we'll be back here next week with you for Gold Asset of the Day. So with that, I wish you good trading.